Why do you feel guilty right after finally sitting down? Not during work, not while rushing, not while solving problems, but the moment you stop, the moment your body softens into the couch, your brain suddenly starts whispering things like, "You should be doing something. You wasted the whole day. You're falling behind." And what's strange is, sometimes you were productive all day. You answered messages, finished tasks, handled responsibilities. But rest still feels wrong, almost dangerous. A lot of people think this is discipline or ambition, but usually it's something much deeper. Because your brain may have quietly learned a painful equation. Rest equals guilt. Stillness equals danger. Worth equals usefulness. And once that equation settles into your nervous system, even peace can start to feel uncomfortable. Not consciously, but biologically. Because the human nervous system is always asking one hidden question. What do I need to do to stay safe here? For some people, the answer became stay busy, stay helpful, keep achieving, don't slow down. And over time, productivity stopped being a tool, it became identity. That's why guilt appears the moment you rest. Not because you're lazy, but because most people think dopamine is about happiness. It's not. Dopamine is more about pursuit, movement, anticipation. It pushes you toward action. But if your nervous system also ties action to self-worth, you can become emotionally dependent on staying in motion, like a bicycle that feels unstable the moment it stops moving. And eventually, rest stops feeling restorative. It starts feeling exposing. Because when the noise disappears, you finally hear your own thoughts. Thoughts you avoided through constant movement. Questions like, who am I when I'm not useful? Do I deserve rest if I haven't earned enough? Why do I feel anxious doing nothing? This is why some people can work for 12 hours, then feel guilty watching a 20-minute show afterwards. The guilt isn't logical, it's conditioned. Your brain learned that slowing down risks judgment, shame, or loss of identity. And once a pattern gets repeated enough, the nervous system stops treating it like a choice. It becomes automatic prediction. Think of your brain like a smoke alarm. A smoke alarm isn't trying to understand reality accurately. It's trying to protect you quickly. And sometimes it becomes too sensitive. Burning toast triggers the same alarm as real fire. In the same way, your nervous system may react to rest as if something is wrong, even when you're completely safe. That's why simply telling yourself to relax rarely works. Because this pattern doesn't live only in thoughts, it lives in the body, in muscle tension, in hyper-alertness, in the inability to fully exhale. And this creates a hidden cycle. The more exhausted you become, the more you crave rest. But the moment you rest, guilt appears. So you return to productivity for relief, not because you truly want to work, but because action temporarily quiets the discomfort. The brain learns movement reduces anxiety. So the cycle continues.
But there's another layer people rarely talk about. Sometimes guilt after relaxing isn't only about productivity. It's about control. When life once felt emotionally unpredictable, staying busy created structure. Tasks became measurable, schedules became calming. Productivity gave you something emotions could not: certainty.
So rest can feel psychologically unstructured, open, undefined. And for a brain trained to scan for problems, empty space feels unsafe. That's why some people instinctively reach for their phone during quiet moments. Not because they're weak, but because silence gives the mind room to wander. And wandering minds often uncover unresolved tension. So, how do you begin changing this pattern without forcing fake positivity onto yourself? It starts by understanding something important. You cannot shame a nervous system into feeling safe. Safety has to be experienced, repeatedly, not intellectually, physically. The first step is learning to separate rest from reward. Most people with this pattern only allow themselves to relax after exhaustion. But that teaches the brain a dangerous lesson. Rest only happens after depletion. Instead, practice small moments of intentional pause before burnout arrives. 5 quiet minutes without multitasking. A slow walk without turning it into productivity content. Sitting with tea without checking notifications. Why does this help? Because the brain rewires through repetition. The third step is creating low stimulation recovery. Many people technically rest, but never allow the brain to downshift. Scrolling endlessly, switching between apps, consuming constant noise. The nervous system stays activated. Real recovery often involves slower sensory input. Walking, journaling, music without multitasking, watching sunlight move across a room. It sounds small, but neuroscience shows the brain needs periods of reduced stimulation to regulate cortisol and restore attention systems. Your mind cannot recover inside endless input. The fourth step is uncomfortable but important. Learn to notice what surfaces during rest. Because guilt is often protecting deeper emotions underneath. Loneliness, fear, sadness, emptiness. Busyness can function like emotional camouflage. So when you finally stop moving, unprocessed feelings rise to the surface. Not to punish you, but to be acknowledged. And strangely, this is where healing begins. Not by becoming endlessly productive, and not by rejecting ambition entirely, but by teaching your nervous system something new. You are allowed to exist without constantly proving your worth. Think of your mind like water. When constantly shaken, water